apply to intermediate economics. All right, first we have to remember law of demand. Which says there is an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. Okay, meaning if price goes up, what you buy reduces. If price goes down, what you buy increases. We also include ceteris paribus, which says holding other variables constant. Okay, so there are a lot of things that can affect the quantity demanded, how much is bought of a good, like income. Okay, the other factors, but here we're only focusing on one factor, which is price. Okay, so remember the graph is like this. We have price here on our y-axis, quantity demanded on our x-axis. So downward sloping demand curve like this. Okay, so just to illustrate so that you remember how this graph works, because it's important to remember how this graph works. Let's say good is costing 10 kwacha and you're able to buy 50 units of that good. Okay, so I'm just illustrating this inverse relationship. If the price of the good rises from 10 kwacha to, let's say, 20 kwacha, it doubles. You're going to buy less of this good because it's now expensive. So let's say you're now buying 25 units. So with this inverse relationship, we saw price has gone up, quantity demanded has gone down. Okay, from 50 units to 25 units. Okay, yes. Now also we need to remember shifts in the demand curve, okay, which are called the non-price determinants of demand. Non-price determinants. Okay. So a shift in demand, our demand curve can shift. Like for example, if it shifts to the right like this, it means there's an increase in demand. Okay, this is an increase. Okay. And if our demand curve shifts to the left, let me show it here. If it shifts to the left like this, this is a decrease in demand. So we need to know what factors can cause this demand to shift, to increase or to decrease. These factors, as you can see, price has stayed the same. The demand curve has shifted, but price has still stayed the same. That's why I was saying that non-price determinants. So for the first non-price determinant is market size. Basically number of customers. Okay, this is basically number of customers. Okay, if the number of customers increase, it means more people will be buying the good. Okay, let's look at this demand curve. Let's say this is the market for soft drinks. Let's say Coca-Cola. This is the market for Coca-Cola. Okay. If more people start buying Coca-Cola, meaning number of customers have increased, demand will increase. If less people buy Coca-Cola, then demand would drop. So number of customers is one factor. Another factor is income. Okay, so let's say with this demand curve, this is the demand for Coca-Cola in a small country, okay, where let's say 50 units are demanded. Okay, at with the general income level, people in total they're able to buy 50 units. Now if the income levels increase in that country, it means people have got more money to buy more Coca-Cola. So what will happen to the demand for Coca-Cola? It is going to increase because the income levels have gone up, so they can buy more Coca-Cola. So income levels increase, you have a shift to the right. Okay. Okay. If income levels drop, you have a shift to the left, like our bottom graph here. Okay. Next, we've got consumer expectations. Okay. For example, let's say this demand graph is the graph for petrol. Okay. If we hear the price of petrol is going to increase, let's say tomorrow, okay, the filling stations are going to be filled with a lot of cars because everyone wants to buy that the last cheap petrol before the price increases. So you'll find demand for petrol is going to increase because prices are going to rise. Price is going to rise, so people want to buy as much of it as they can so that they spend less. Okay, so if we as consumers see price levels are about to increase, okay, we buy more of that good so that we take advantage of the lower price before the price increases. Okay, so demand will shift like this, meaning people are buying more petrol that day. Okay, yes. Then, so if consumers expect, if we expect increase, if we expect an increase, we buy more. Okay, we buy more, and the opposite is true. Okay, let's say if they're saying that the price of petrol is going to reduce after tomorrow. Okay, people are going to wait for that cheaper price to come in. They're not going to buy the expensive petrol, no, because remember, we want to spend less. Okay, so people are going to wait for the price of petrol to drop so that they can now buy it at a cheaper price. Okay, so when we see prices go about to drop, we buy less, so demand drops. Okay, because everyone has what's this, waiting for the cheaper price to come in. Okay. The next one, advertising. The more you spread the word about your good or your service, the more people will be aware of that good and service. Okay, and they'll be willing now to try your product or your service. Okay, and as they come, as more people are now willing to try your product or your service, demand for your product is going to go up. And if people even like your product and they start referring others for your product or service, demand will increase. Okay. Then I would say professional and social influence. Okay. If a doctor comes on TV and says Coca-Cola is bad for you and we found it causes cancer, people are going to listen to that profession and they will buy less Coca-Cola. Theoretically, all of these are theoretical examples, okay? Because remember, with economics, everything is theoretical. So yes, people will buy less of the good or the service. Okay, so because a professional said it, a doctor said it, so we're going to listen to a doctor. Okay, even a celebrity, if a celebrity endorses a certain drink or a certain, like recently here we had Speed, he was traveling through countries. Okay, so some brands have taken advantage, like Vatra, we saw in Hungry Lion, Vatra took advantage. They showed a photo of him drinking Vatra. People who like Speed are going to see, oh, Speed likes Vatra. They're going to buy more Vatra. Especially if he even endorses it. Okay. So if a famous person comes in and endorses a product, okay, where they actually endorse, because Speed didn't endorse Vatra, it was just a photo. But when a celebrity endorses a certain product or service, their fans are going to be, most likely, they're going to buy. And the demand for that product is going to increase. Right. Then finally, price of related goods. This is where we're talking about complementary goods. And substitute goods. Okay, so let me illustrate this. We start with substitute goods. Here we have Coca-Cola. I'll use Coca-Cola and Pepsi here. Pepsi is here. Pepsi is the substitute good. Yeah, Pepsi is the substitute good. Let's say both of them are trading at 10 kwacha each. This is theoretically, okay, all this is theoretical. Okay, yes, both of them are trading at 10 kwacha each. Now, if the price of Pepsi goes up, it means Pepsi is more expensive than Coca-Cola. So people are going to substitute Pepsi with Coca-Cola. And what happens to the demand for Coca-Cola? The demand increases. Okay. So if the price of a substitute good goes up, the demand for the other good will increase because the substitute good has become more expensive. Okay, so what you're going to see with Pepsi, they increase the price to 15 kwacha on their demand curve. Let's say here they'll be selling 200 units, now it's 10 kwacha, so now they're selling, let's say, 150 units. So these 50 who went out of here, who stopped buying Pepsi and went to buy Coca-Cola, so demand has increased for Coca-Cola. And the opposite is true. If we start again at 10 kwacha each, if the price of Pepsi drops, price of Pepsi drops, it means Pepsi is cheaper than Coca-Cola. Okay, we're starting here again at 200. Okay, so more people start buying Pepsi. Demand will increase from 200 to 250 because it's cheaper than Coca-Cola, so people are going to buy the Pepsi, right? So what happens? Demand for Coca-Cola goes down because Pepsi is cheaper. Okay, so for substitute goods, if the price goes up, demand for the other good goes up. Okay, that's why when you see in multivariable demand functions, if the price of the other good is positive, just know it's a substitute good, which I will illustrate later. Now let's look at complementary goods. Okay, a complementary good is a good that is used together with another good. Okay, the good that is used with another good. Okay, so here let me make an example of motor vehicles and petrol. So I'll say cars and petrol. Okay. So petrol is the complementary good, okay? Because it's used together with this car. Okay. So if the price of petrol goes up, okay, people are going to see the price has gone up and they'll buy less cars because they know that if they get a car, they'll be buying expensive petrol. So they'll opt for other cheaper options like public transport. Okay. So if the price of a complementary good goes up, demand for the other good is going to go down. Okay, because petrol is expensive, you don't want to incur those costs, so you say you go for public transport. Okay, and if the price of a complementary good goes down, means petrol is cheaper, people will be more inclined to buy cars. All right, so what happens to the demand for cars? The demand for cars increases. Okay, so if the price of a complementary good goes down, the demand for the other good is going to increase. Okay, so in multivariable demand functions, the demand function which has just got a lot of variables, when you see a negative sign with the price of another good, just know it's a complementary good. Yes, so these are the main shifters of demand, or the non-price determinants of demand.